Streaming to you live from Grovemade in the Rose City's Buckman neighborhood, it's Live in Portland with Chris Franklin! This week, welcome! Music by Alexander Goldman's Bergschrund Project, Ken Tomita of Grovemade, comedy by Joe Hieronymus, Hunter Lee of Portland Razor Company, documentarian Megan Perra of Fox Grimm, and music by Jumble, with our in-house band, Sexy Marvin and the Extraterrestrial. Now, here's your host. On his way from the ATM, his smile, rug, and Johnson really tie the room together. This dude abides by fulfilling all of your sultry sarsaparilla-fueled bowling fantasies. Chris Franklin!
21st. This is our 16th episode. Guys, we're here at Grovemade and we've got an awesome show for you. I like to start the show with a bit of a monologue every episode, and what's been on my mind lately is making that jump to the life that we all want. Of course, the analogy comes to me through nature. I think of a giant river in between the place that I'm at and my goals. And along that river, I'm going to walk down and see treacherous parts of the river and understand that that's not my place to cross. And so I'll keep on walking until there's a gentle place to cross. And I don't know if anybody's felt that feeling that it is finally close enough to make that jump into the life that you ultimately want. I think with the show, with Portland as a city, and all the opportunities that we have available, all the amazing creative entrepreneurs, that river is getting narrow each and every day, and I'm really excited to get the show started and get a little bit closer to the goals that I've wanted in my life. And so, with no further ado, everybody, this is Live in Portland. My first guest, they're not only a great musical act, but they've got a great story to tell. Alexander and the Bergschrund Project, come on out.
What a welcoming.
Yeah.
So we'll just start off by telling you, Bergschrund Project is something that I did because there's two main points of this project. One is to make music about climbing, because there's so many songs about mountains and theoretical mountain climbing that I thought that it was about time that there be songs about actual mountain climbing. And, you know, like Chris here thinks about the rivers. Oftentimes climbing mountains, the hardest part of it is climbing the river, or getting across a river, but the Bergschrund is the objective. It's where the head wall and the high glacier meet and separate, and there'll be a large vertical crevasse that is sometimes impassable and you have to turn back. So the idea is finding the life that you want by getting over the Bergschrund, which is the most difficult part. And so this is the title song from my EP, Bergschrund. So I think this is Matt's first time on a cocktail kit. Doing pretty well, I think. You guys think so? So this is Matt Wiles. He's a local drummer for a lot of other groups. Last Giant, Breaker, Queen Chief. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff coming out of it. I'm lucky to have him work on this project with me and help me do all this recording. I have an album that I'm releasing. EP release party is at Cider Riot on June 3rd. It's a Sunday after Memorial Day weekend. It's open. I hope everybody can come. It's going to be in the cidery, so it should be a pretty big event. Yeah, so that's my pitch for my party, my EP release. I hope everybody can make it. I'm only playing 2 songs for you now, but this is, you know, there's more. There's the arc of this concept album. Starts with the new mountain, figuring out how to approach a new mountain, something that's never been done. The act of actually going and doing it. You get to the top and you realize you're there and you have to stay focused because the most dangerous part is often coming down. And so that's Bergschrund, what you just heard. And then we wrap up with Holiday, the holiday package, because what happens is when you come down, there's no marching band. And so the other part of this project is to talk about what's important in our community and what's, you know, what do we think is important. And we have marching bands for professional sports. You know, we have all these things in our culture that we prioritize. And I'm not saying that mountaineers want marching bands, but maybe scientists deserve marching bands. Maybe people, you know, going out of their way to show all the important things that are happening in their community. Maybe those people deserve marching bands. And so it's not necessarily saying that we want to have marching bands, but that this song and this community and all of the people around us, we are the marching band. And
Yeah.
so... This song's called No Marching Band.
flyer.
Yeah.
You are performing at Cider Riot, one of the former guests of Live in Portland. I don't know if you knew that, but it's happening June 3rd.
Yep.
It's coming up. Thank you so much for coming out. For my guests at home, where can they find you on social media?
I'm on Instagram, Schmalix1. I'm Alex, turned into I'm Schmalix. And so, Schmalix1, I don't have a Facebook because somehow I never made it onto that. But, yeah, we're going to have music up on Bandcamp here, hopefully this week. And you'll be able to download it all there. So.
Awesome. Alexander, thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah,
this was a
thank
blast.
you.
Thank you. Everybody give him a round of a hand. Yeah, you got the drum case back. Rock on, Marvin. Did you have a good weekend, Marvin? Yeah. You went floating down the river? Down an asteroid field. What? Do you need an inner tube for that? No, you just go. That's awesome. Everybody, I'm so excited to bring out my next guest. This is the house that he built, co-founder of Grovemade. Ken, come on out. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm trying to think of all the ways I could describe Grovemade. You've got woodworking, design, technology like functionality. How do you define Grovemade?
Well, it's really hard to define, but luckily we're in the space
Yeah.
right here, right? So we have a 5,000 square foot factory right here. And what's kind of unique about us is we both design and manufacture our products. So we started as an iPhone case company, making wood iPhone cases, but now we've pivoted into making just about everything for the pocket and a lot of products for the desktop.
Yeah. So you do things in a broad scope, like, so you're going from the phone, you have the wireless charger systems that I saw. You also have the ergonomic desks.
Yep.
Speakers?
Yep.
Like, it seems to be no limit. Tell me about the inspiration of creating Grovemade and how you've gotten to this point.
Well, originally we were just iPhone cases, but that industry was really saturated, so we had to pivot and rebuild our company.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, is a blessing in disguise because it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Now that we get to make everything.
Yeah.
And the best part is I get to hook up my friends with swag.
Nice.
So that's for you, buddy.
Oh, awesome.
That's our wood wash.
Check that out. Hell yeah. I'll take that. Thank you very much, Ken.
Yeah, with iPhone cases, you never know what phone they're going to have, but everybody's got a wrist.
Yeah,
right? So.
Totally. Ken, this is an amazing space, but I hear you're on the move.
Yeah, that's exciting news. The schedule was to move on Thursday.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah.
But we're a little behind.
Okay.
But it will happen. So by the end of June, we'll be out of here.
Okay.
Yeah, we recently bought a building up in North Portland that we're really excited about. It's 8,400 square feet with another 8,000 square foot parking lot.
Yeah.
And it gives us room to grow.
Yeah.
And most of all, we own the building, so we can control our destiny.
That's so awesome. To own a building in Portland is a huge achievement.
It's a really cool building. It's built in 1922, and it was a mechanic shop. Fixing like the earliest cars. But then when I looked at the building history, it has a fascinating history, mostly related to death. So, funeral services, making caskets, urns, and apparently that little block on Albina and Rosa Parks was funeral homes, casket companies, urns.
Wow.
For a long time. So the building is definitely haunted.
Yeah.
Definitely for sure. We actually...
We'll bring some sage. Yeah.
Yeah. We saw it. We were in the building one day, and my girlfriend was joking about the ghosts, and she said, "Hello, ghosts," and at that instant, the fluorescent lights above her started buzzing up and exploded.
No. Wow.
So for sure.
Okay, so that was like a left turn. You're moving into a haunted building. One thing that I love about what you do is you have this great blog form, and I'm hoping now that we have ghost stories. Because if you check out Grovemade, you guys do extensive blogs, and they're educational. They're super informative. Tell me a lot about that aspect and building out that portion of your business.
Yeah, I think just product alone isn't enough anymore. We want to make sure that people understand that there's people behind the product.
Yeah.
There's thought and intention in the process. So we try to write really high quality articles on our blog that connect our customers to exactly who we are and what's kind of driving us.
Yeah.
We're also big on Instagram stories. If you get a chance.
Yeah.
We have Rainey over there.
What's up, Rainey? Can we get her on the cam?
Yeah. There we go. I'm going to get in trouble for that later. But,
nice. As she's filming.
She's working on the Instagram stories. We've been really trying to upgrade it because it's a great medium where we can connect directly to people.
Yeah.
Kind of in a much more authentic way.
Yeah. And tell me about the design aesthetic, because it is a very minimalist aesthetic. What are some of the inspirations behind your design?
Well, I think in the beginning it was maybe accidental. We were in a mature brand, so we were kind of doing whatever felt right. But we've been around for 9 years, so now we kind of have this history, and we're pulling from that to make sure our work moving forward is consistent. So it's always kind of this dance to do something that's clean and minimal, but also we want to be unique, right?
Yeah.
So like something like the speaker, we tried to kind of step out of our comfort zone a little bit. We're always kind of pushing and pulling.
Yeah, yeah. And you've created quite an audience nationally. Like you sell a lot of product.
Right. It's actually, what's fascinating is it's international.
Okay.
So we wouldn't exist without the power of the internet.
Yeah.
So 40% of our sales are international.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And tell me about this, because I mean, as time passes, we find less brick and mortar type shops, and more business models like yours, where you manufacture and design your own product, and then you advertise it through the blogs and the practicality of it.
Right. So we're, as you pointed out, we're direct to consumer only. So we only sell directly through the internet to our customer. And I think that's the future of business, to not have these middlemen, these retailers in between. And it kind of allows us to really fine-tune our product. And because we do everything from design, manufacturing, to marketing, to selling directly to the customers, we can keep that really tight and high quality. Yeah. But of course, the limit is it's harder to grow, right?
Right.
You can't hockey stick without a whole lot of...
without wholesale, yeah.
Without wholesale, without investors.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's not one of our goals. That's not one of my goals. We want to have a great time working here. We want to have the freedom to create.
Yeah.
And if we can create a sustainable business that way and make great products,
it's
all good with me.
Yeah. You know what I love about you? We've met a few times through mutual friends who are also entrepreneurs, and you're very supportive of your community, whether it's the people who work here at Grovemade or anybody with a dream. Like you've found through creating your business practical steps to move forward. And I just want to just have the audience aware of like your impact in the Portland community. We actually have one of our guests who will be coming on who sharpens your knives. And being a manufacturer in Portland, I recognize it's a very difficult thing. And I think that you deserve the praise that is deserved. And so I'd like my audience, everybody to give me a round of applause. For my audience at home, how can they find you on social media, and how can they get those awesome Instagram stories?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram at Grovemade, Facebook, not so much, but
Grovemade, everybody.
Check us out.
Thank you, Marvin. Take it away. Next up, we've got an amazing comedian. I'm really happy to have him out. Portland comedians represent. Joe Hieronymus, come on out!
They gave me this stool because I'm old. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for being here. This is awesome. Lost in Portland.
Yeah.
The only show that can be found in Portland. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to be around friends. Thanks for being here and watching at home. It's way easier this way than if I had to go door to door. Hey. Time to hear some jokes. My name is Joe. It's easy enough, but I'll make it a little easier for all the dropouts like me at home. Just ordinary Joe. My last name is Hieronymus, and I tell you this because at least a couple times a week, someone will ask me, "Is your last name made up?" And I always want to say, yeah. My entire name was made up. But your name was made up too. Every name. Every word. We're constantly doing it. We're still making up words. Swag. Getting turned. Swole. Everybody's having a real swole time. You guys are nice. I like that. You're a bunch of real nice holes. Speaking of making words, I just made one up. That's one to take home with you. You see somebody doing something cool, you're being a real nice hole. That's right. I do like language. There are 2 words I'd like to tell you guys about that will get you out of anything. Those 2 words, family stuff. Yeah, you don't want to go to work? Call. Got some family stuff. They're not going to ask any more questions. You want to break a date, not feeling it? Family stuff. They'd better understand. Family stuff is the perfect safe word for our society. Interestingly enough, family stuff is a horrible safe word for sex. You know what I'd like to be nice hole? It's nice hole. This last weekend, I was at a bar drinking a Tecate. You know, just trying to fit in. When I made the mistake of making eye contact with someone. And I don't know, when you guys look at me, do you think, I'd hit that? Or, that's been hit. Like a bunch. My friend called me a narcissist, so I had to sit down and take a real long, hard look in the mirror. Worst Chestershire sauce ever. Sorry, I slipped in a couple of jokes there. You guys know a little bit about me. I'm going to tell you some more. This is a segment of my set. Try to guess whether it's silly or if it's political. 9 out of 10 numbers are not 9. Okay, that one's a little silly. Okay, it's a little silly. You know, you don't see a lot of kids wearing Reeboks these days. That's why I think we should make guns look like Reeboks. It's political, but still kind of silly. If you're missing any of your fingers or toes, you can count on me. You ever get the feeling that white Christians' only black friend is Jesus? I don't think there was any silliness to that one. Sorry. Last one, I promise. Pythagoras was in a love triangle. But man, everybody in it was a square. Thank you, sorry. See, I thought I was having a good hair day, and then I see Marvin's hair is just what I want. I'm going to do an impression for you, see how that goes. It's all part of the plan, to showcase my skills, my talents. This is my impression of a NASCAR fan who is a kitty cat. Meow. Meow, meow, meow. That's just good writing. I was trying to write a fart joke, and it came out as a poop joke. And it was, Stop, I love it. Oh, man. Something I was watching, and I learned, is dogs, as we know them, have only been dogs for about 10,000 years. They've been evolving. And it got, everybody always wonders, what would dogs say if they could talk? If we gave them like 10,000 more years to evolve. And the first things that come to my mind is a dog would tell you, hey, there's somebody at the door right now. Go see who it is. Or, hey, there's somebody walking down the street 2 blocks away. Just letting you know. Or, I love you more than you'll ever love me. Puppies. That joke's about puppies. I'm not ready to have puppies yet, I don't think. Well, I just broke up with my girlfriend, but it's a good thing because she was kind of a pessimist, real negative Nancy, She was always like, my pussy's half empty. So I've been spending a little time writing some poetry. You guys like to hear my poetry. This is a haiku. Maybe you don't like haikus. Well, you just heard one.
Nice.
Thank you. One more. How catastrophic is it for claustrophobics inside outdoor stores? I'm sorry I gave everybody a little homework tonight. It is great to be here. I normally just make it up on the spot. This is, like I said, kind of a plan, things I've memorized all day in front of the mirror. And like I said, I wouldn't have come out if, I don't know, Marvin's hair makes me want to go back home. But it is great to be here. It's really a pleasure to be part of something like this. My favorite part of the show is when you broke it down all, start talking real. Stop with the jokes. I think it's, on talk shows, they're kind of gossipy sometimes, and I like this because this doesn't feel like gossip. We're actually interviewing the community. I hate gossip. I think it's rude how we only talk about elephants when they're not in the room. And I think turtles get away with way too much sass. Oh, snap. And the only time I talk about bunny rabbits is when I'm using air quotes. That's in case the kids are watching at home. I guess, in conclusion, if there's one thing that I could pass along to everyone tonight, it's don't be an asshole. Be a... Thank you. Hail Satan.
Joe Hieronymus, everybody! Marvin, take it away. didn't shave today. Partly because my next guest has the supply of razors. He actually runs Portland Razor Company. Hunter Lee, come on out! Hunter, I'm so excited to have you on the show.
Good to see you, Chris.
Good to see you too. I see you've got the 5 o'clock shadow.
Perpetually.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. One of the funny things about making razors is if you're clean shaven, everybody gives you a hard time, says, well, you obviously don't need your product.
Right.
But if you grow a beard, everyone says, well, you obviously don't use it. It's like, you can't win.
No.
You really can't.
No. Let's start from the beginning. Tell me about Portland Razor Company.
So Portland Razor Company, first and foremost, is a manufacturing company. We make straight razors and shaving accessories here in Portland. We do pretty much everything ourselves. It's part of why we identify really closely with Grovemade, why we really like these guys. So shout out, thank you guys for your support over the years. And we, just in the last year, actually started a second project called Portland Shave Shop. It's a full-service barber shop. It kind of started as a testing ground for some new product that we're doing.
Yeah.
Most of our customers are all end users, guys shaving at home.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the last year, we started making products for professionals, so barbers and stylists can start using our product in their shop. So.
Yeah. And you've come at it with multiple directions. Like you use different materials for the holds. Your razors, like you said, are manufactured here in Portland.
Mm-hmm.
Clue us in on kind of the process of making a razor.
Sure. I mean, the first part, obviously, is starting with the right materials, right? So, starting with a good blade steel, whether it's high carbon or stainless, and then the scales is the handle, the piece that it folds into. You can make that out of pretty much anything. Classically, they're made out of celluloid, plastic, bone. We're making them now out of kind of some updated materials. So we're working with things like G10 and modern acrylics and
no, I don't know.
Still doing
No, G10 and modern acrylics.
So G10 is kind of a cool material. It's chemically resistant. It's high impact. So this is part of what makes the professional line kind of unique, is that we're using these updated materials to make something more durable for professionals that they can sanitize well and use in their shops.
Mm-hmm. And they're also a beautiful showpiece. I don't know if you guys have been on Portland Razor Company's website, but
I actually brought a visual aid if you need one.
Yeah, I would love a visual aid.
So take my word for it that this thing is sharp, so don't test it with your thumb or anything, but you're welcome to handle that.
Woo! Check this out, everybody. Right, Marvin? You probably need this. Yeah. Check that out. And so this is a straight razor.
It is.
Now, when I grew up in the times of Mach 5s and 15s, where we have multiple blades on a safety razor that we get from Target. Tell me about the straight razor.
So the first most obvious difference, besides the form factor, is just that this is not a disposable blade.
Yeah.
Right? You can relatively quickly develop the skills to take care of this and keep it sharp, so that you never have to buy another razor. Right? So it's good economically. There's nothing to throw away. There's no plastic here that can't be recycled. So it's better for the environment in that respect. It's a permanent shaving solution, and that's really the part that I identify most closely with, and why I keep doing this.
Yeah.
Making razors is cool. Getting to make a product with my hands is something I never thought I would get to do. But at the end of the day, the reason I keep doing it is because it lets me talk about these other things, about being more conscientious about the tools we use and the things we consume, and taking care of our things and the people around us.
Yeah. It's a more sustainable product.
Absolutely.
Because even with the one blade safety blades, pass that on to Marvin. You have to throw out the blades, but this blade is going to last you for quite some time. Is this like a lifetime blade? How long do the blades last?
If you take care of it, it'll last your lifetime and maybe another generation or two.
Wow.
We don't know yet because we haven't lived that long.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marvin. But you know, we're using similar processes to razors that were made 100 or 200 years ago, and are still around and still usable.
Yeah. So you're building legacy pieces.
We're trying to.
Here in Portland.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about the shave shop.
Okay.
So, you know, as a man, like I shave at home often, all the time. To have the opportunity to come into a shave shop and actually get a shave is quite a luxury. You know,
it's an experience.
It's an experience.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience as I walked through the door of the Portland Shave Shop.
Man, so it's kind of like a facial with a knife. It's about a lot more than just removing the hair, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I love about barbershop culture and what I've learned about working in this industry is it doesn't matter whether you're a carpenter or a doctor or prime minister. Like, everybody's on an even playing field as soon as you sit in that chair. You're king for a day, right? So in that respect, like, all of the focus is on you and creating kind of the best experience.
Yeah.
After that, there's a lot of, I guess, practical steps. So prepping the face and prepping the hair. And these are things you can do at home, too, with, like, traditional wet shaving practices. But it's on another level having someone else who's a professional at it really take care of you for that hour.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, excellent. I'll be coming in soon. For my guests here and at home, how can they get in touch with the Portland Shave Shop and Portland Razor Company?
At Portland Razor Co. on Instagram is our biggest one. At Portland Shave Shop. PortlandShaveShop.com if you want to make an appointment.
Yeah. And one more thing, we actually have to give a shout out to our good friend. You might notice we're wearing amazingly cut coats from our good friend Joe Mueller at Wildwood and Company. So shout out to Joe. He said we should both wear the suits because we're both clients of his. But yeah, you look great.
Looking sharp, brother.
Hunter, thank you so much for coming out. Can I get a round of applause for Hunter Lee, everybody? Marvin, take it away. Guys, this show is on its 16th week. We've been doing this show 16 weeks in a row. I'm so excited that I have this amazing team to help me uplift the goals and ambitions of our Portland creatives, whether they be musicians, comedians, artists, people who work in our community. And we couldn't do it without the help of our sponsors, Mad Hippie Skincare Company, and Bertoni Foston over at Abbey Creek. I just want to thank them so much and get a round of applause for them. My next guest, I didn't know how much there was to learn about Arctic foxes. You know, those amazing creatures that we see on our, screensavers and stuff like that. We're gonna get a more real look at the life of Arctic foxes with my next guest, Megan Perra. Come on out. Welcome.
Thank you. It's I've been trying not to talk about foxes for a while, so this is like a
coming back to it.
Yeah, no.
We're gonna talk about foxes.
Good, perfect. Yeah, I spare everyone just the whole story of it, but
yeah. So I got to listen to your story on a podcast recently, and this is just an excerpt of the work that you've been doing out of Iceland. Can we talk about that first?
Yeah. So that story kind of exemplifies the relationship that fox hunters in Iceland have with their foxes, and that they shoot them and they kill them, but they also idolize them. So that story specifically was about this three-legged fox that these guys were trying to get for 3 years. Mm-hmm. And they did end up getting it, but it became famous.
Yeah.
And
mystical almost.
Yeah. They named him Tripod.
Yeah. So it was really cool in the story because you learn about, you know, the bounty on foxes, or Arctic foxes, because they're killing the geese that we use for down feathers in our jackets and duvets.
Yeah, those are these eider ducks. So basically, if you buy a super expensive duvet or a really expensive jacket, it probably has eider down in it.
Yeah.
So these ducks come and nest on a farmer's property, and they're not that afraid of people when they're nesting. So these guys go up and they take the eider down and they collect it and then they sell it. And the foxes will come in and just like eat as many as many eiders as they can. So these guys will preemptively shoot foxes in the area to make it a bit of a safe space for their ducks. And the government kind of recognizes that the ducks are of economic value and the foxes aren't. So they pay people to go out and get rid of some of these pesky foxes. And Iceland is different than the rest of Scandinavia, and that the foxes aren't endangered there. They're actually like, if you go there and you see them, they're kind of like raccoons when they get habituated to people. Like they're super adorable, but they will come in and try and take your food.
Yeah. Let's go back to the beginning. Your first trip to Iceland.
Right.
When you developed like everything that you've been doing for the past couple of years.
Yeah, so I first went to Iceland as an artist in residence in Skagastrand, which is in the northwest part of Iceland, and I had just finished a zoology degree. But I'd also taken these screen printing courses and decided that I wanted to be an artist. Like, that was my passion. So I went there with the intention of creating a body of work that I could sort of use as a jumping off point. And I sent this email to this Fox researcher thinking like, oh, I'm sure that she gets these emails all the time, but like, we'll see what she says. And I sent her some pictures of my art, and I'm like, I'm kind of a scientist, but also an artist. I'm really interested in doing something science-based. And just like within a few days, she's like, yeah, come into the lab. Like, you can watch the dissections. And her name's Esther. She works at the Institute of Natural History in Reykjavik. And she gets a large portion of the foxes that are shot by these hunters. So I think the year I was there, she dissected 500 individuals.
Wow. Busy day.
Yeah. So she'll take like life history data, see how fat a fox is. She can look at the placental scars on the uterus and actually tell how many fox cubs that fox had the previous season. And then she'll take things like age. And that whole data set has been accumulated since her mentor started. And he started in the 80s, just in his garage. And I think they have somewhere around 11,000 specimens. So they can't keep everything just because you can't keep an entire dead fox. There's no space. But she keeps the lower jaw of each fox. So you have both of the lower jaws of each specimen. They're all labeled. They're basically in these boxes, like those file cabinets, just in the basement of the institute.
And having the lower jaw, does that help them study anything particular?
Yeah, actually, so what's interesting is that I think they just kept them for the record. They use the teeth for aging, but my friend who's doing a master's at the University of Calgary, she can look at the lower jaw and compare the symmetry in them and see if there's been a developmental disruption. So this gets back to kind of the core of the project, but asymmetry can be a sign that something has gone wrong during your development. That could be you were either too stressed, or maybe you're exposed to something like pollution. And it turns out that Arctic foxes in Iceland, the ones that live along the coast, are actually exposed to a lot of mercury. But there are also inland foxes that just eat ptarmigan. They don't eat any of the seafood that has mercury in it, and they have no exposure.
Okay.
So Iceland is like this perfect ecosystem with exposed and control. And then you have 11,000 fox mandibles in the basement of this random institute.
Right.
So I was talking to my friend about this, and she's like, I could look at those and see if there's developmental damage that might be happening to these foxes that live along the coast.
Yeah.
And so what ended up happening is the project that I'm working on now, which is called Fox Grim. So it's a documentary project about the research that I got my friend Maddie to do.
I'm going to stop you there. So you go to Iceland as an artist in residence.
Right.
You have a science background.
Yeah.
then you start picking up the camera and start doing documentaries. There's a self-tape documentary on your website that's done extremely well. And that is just a preamble to what you're working on now.
Yeah, so when I first went over there, while I was still abroad, I was abroad in Iceland for 3 months, I thought, this is like doing a lot of storytelling stuff here. It kind of feels like science journalism. And then I saw this program for visual journalism at Concordia University in Montreal. And while I was abroad, I applied for that so I could go and acquire some of the skills I would need to come back and like work on a larger project about Esther and the foxes. And
this has become a passion project.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to an annoying degree.
Yeah. So right now you're working on a documentary, and tell me a bit about the focus and the research of this documentary.
Yeah, so originally I went over thinking that this research part, this whole idea that maybe the foxes are being harmed by the mercury would be like the backbone of the narrative. Mm-hmm. And then I got there and it turns out all these hunters have really interesting stories. Yeah. And I was out in the West Fjords where a lot of the fox hunting happens because there are a lot of those eider ducks. So I was just kind of asking around, and I met this one guy who had previously done a documentary on it, and he's like, oh, those guys who sit out there and shoot the foxes, like, they take turns watching over the eider ducks, and if it's their turn while they're watching the fox, they're required to write a poem about the fox.
Interesting.
And then they come back and they have their coffee time and they share all this poetry. So there's those guys, for the eider farmers. Then there's this three-legged fox. Yeah. That these guys ended up just turning into kind of
like a mythical, like it almost seemed like a mythical creature.
Yeah, well, I mean, how would a three-legged fox survive? Yeah. It's interesting. Well, it survived because it was eating all the bait that they were putting out to catch it, ironically, but...
This is great. So one more time, tell me the title of the documentary that you're working on right now.
So the documentary is called Foxgrim, and online it's Icelandfox.com. Yeah. Easy to remember, and all of our social media stuff is just at Foxgrim the movie. Yeah.
And you also have a Instagram page that displays your artwork that is fantastic and a great storytelling tool.
Yeah. So my like artistic company is Feral 5 Creative Company. So feral as in wild, F-E-R-A-L, and then 5 the number, Creative Company. And that just shows it's actually more updated than all the Foxgrim stuff, but just the things I draw when I'm gallivanting around. And I have a solo show in La Grande next month at Art Center East. There'll be lots of fox-related work there.
Very cool. Bet you guys didn't know that much about Arctic foxes, did you? Megan, thank you so much for coming on. I love the work that you do and the passion that you put into it, and I'm really excited to see the work that you produce in the coming months.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Megan Perra, everybody. Marvin, you got it. It's not over. I'm so excited for our musical guests that are coming on. Everybody put your hands together for Jumblehead. audience where they can find your music.
Jumblehead Music.
.com.
Joe, do you have any shows coming up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saturday, we are playing on CCTV. It's Open Signal. We're playing an improv comedy show.
At the community center.
Yeah, we're going to be doing the little stuff. They're going to be doing the funny stuff. I'm going to be accenting the funny stuff.
Oh, that's so dope.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're super excited about it.
Guys, put your hands together for Jumblehead. This right here is episode 16 of Live in Portland, where we showcase creative artists, musicians, comedians, entrepreneurs. We love to do this every week, and we're so happy to showcase the talent that Portland has here. Let's put our hands together for Portland. That's our show, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out.